Hi everyone, I'm Sumit, and this is the continuation of our AWS Cloud series. In the previous video, we saw how we can configure AWS CLI in our own computer and can access the resource of AWS using our own terminal. And in this video, we're going to take a brief look about the heart and soul of AWS, its compute service. Actually, the compute service is heart and soul of any cloud provider and this is the basic video. We'll look into some basic terminology of EC2 and some basic things of about EC2. So let's proceed. So the compute service consists of processor, memory, hardware, and networking devices. So of course, we need compute service, we need processor. Of course, that is obvious thing. Second thing, we need memory like RAM. Uh, and the third thing is we need a storage devices like SSD or a hard disk. And fourth one is of course, we need routers and switches. It could be a wireless Wi-Fi NIC network interface card or an Ethernet port. The real point is that your computer also consists of these four things, but the server is not your regular computer. Although the regular computer is nowadays very powerful, you can run some services, web services, or app services in your own computer by configuring them. But actually, it's not ideal. They are not meant for these things. When you buy, let's for exercise, go on the market, go on the Amazon and search price of your regular RAM, regular laptop RAM, and the price of the server RAM. The exact amount of RAM will cost different, and the cost different is very huge. The reason is simple. Server is meant for running 24 into 7. So that's why they need that kind of resilience. And but your personal computer isn't meant for these things. That's why they are cheaper. So AWS use this server level hardware, which is resilience and can handle and can run like 24 into 7. So let's see how AWS provide us the compute services. So actually it's called virtualization. There are two types of virtualization, type 1 virtualization, type 2 virtualization. Type 1 virtualization happened in the hardware level, and the type 2 virtualization happened on the OS level. So you must have heard about some like VMware, VirtualBox. I'm damn sure you have heard about VirtualBox and or Docker. So these are type 2 virtualization. They run on top of OS. They need an OS to run on, and then they provide you a sandbox environment. But type 1 virtualization can happen in the hardware level itself. You don't need an operating system for that. So AWS use type 1 hypervisor, and I guess if I'm not wrong, they use EX hypervisor or something. You can Google it. And yeah, hypervisor actually an abstraction. And yeah, so this is the like very basic and very brief structure of an hypervisor. You have your actual hardware. On top of your actual hardware, you have hypervisor, and then you can install an OS, and on your OS you can install your application. And these hypervisor are magical actually. You can using these hypervisor, you can give access to your hardware like CPUs, RAM, storage devices to your OS. And actually, it is not the directly link, it's provided by the hypervisor. So you can, if this OS is not consuming the enough RAM or CPU, you can use the same RAM or CPU power to this OS, and this OS will not even notice. So that is the magic of hypervisor. You can utilize your hardware resources effectively using hypervisor, and that's what AWS does. So let's move to the introduction of elastic cloud computing. So it's called EC2 because it has elastic cloud compute. So there are 2 times C, and that's how they come up with EC2. So EC2 is one such VM. So you see in the one OS, the second OS, the third OS, when you spin up the new EC2 instance, they create another this box, this another sandbox environment, and this is actually a EC2 instance or a VM. So you can pick your own CPU, memory, and these things, and there are multiple instance type that AWS has. So, of course, first is general purpose. They are very cheap. They don't cost you much, and you can do like pretty much a lot of things. Like you can host a web app and a lot of general purpose things you can do on this. And the second one, you have CPU compute optimized. Like if you have some heavy computing task, you can take these kind of compute instance. And then you have memory optimized, storage optimized, and GPU optimized. Actually, these GPU optimized uh, like used a lot in these days by machine learning experts and all. So if you are a machine learning enthusiast, you can go ahead with GPU optimized instances, but they cost much actually. And later on, we have AMI images, Amazon Machine Images. So what happens is that you have your OS, and like I'm damn sure you have tried of installing some binaries or C binaries or something like that. But the binaries, installing binaries is not an easy task. It's like they give a lot of errors, and you need to like troubleshoot almost all the time. So what I mean is that when you work on an organization, you have to configure like a lot binaries and different OS and many times. Actually, you have to do this in many times. So what you can do to save your time is that you can like an OS, create an instance, install your OS, install your binaries, and after installing your binaries, you can take the snapshot of it, and this will become your custom OS. And every time you spin up a new OS with your AMI custom images, the binaries will get automatically installed. So that's how you can save time, and it is very useful when you work on organization. And yeah. So these are core advantage of using like EC2 instance. Of course, it's give us elasticity, it's give us ownership, it's give us choice actually what hardware we need, like what kind of configurations we need. And of course, it is very rapidly fast. You can spin up an EC2 instance in less than a minute. Actually, like, yeah, just in the most of time, in my experiences, take less than a minute. And of course, price is very reasonable according to the service they are providing. So this is the like best practices that how we should connect your EC2 instance with your local system. You should always use SSH, and you should always give your file permissions to like 400 read-only permission. You can, this is the Linux command. You can use this to like give the permission to your PM file. And yeah, so when EC2 instance has two type of data. The first one is user data. It run when your instance start first time. When you are initiating your instance, you need to like configure some basic things and all. So it get automatically these commands run automatically get run. It's actually a bash script to be honest. So you don't have to spend a lot of time configuring something, some basic things, some which is repeated well. And the second thing is metadata. Metadata is nothing but it is data about data. So yeah, what happening in your EC2 instance, if you want to like take a brief look about it, you can use this API. It's sorry, there's some like network issue, but uh, but yeah, it is 196.254.196.254 at the latest at the rate metadata. When you hit this, when you are logging into your EC2 instance, and you can use curl command and hit this endpoint, and you will get the metadata of your instance.